Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm even sitting here with the camera on. This is insane. This will be my first video in a series of talking about my relocation, which is the whole point of me buying this really nice phone, is to talk about my relocation story and how we moved to Nashville, Tennessee. I am working with limited space. I have a 6-foot bear here from my honey for Valentine's Day, and if I leave him in the room, my dog attacks him, so he's out here taking up space with me on the sofa for right now. So I hope he makes you smile and brings you tons of joy. So right now, today is February the 19th, and I am 37 years old. I am coming up on my 2-year relocation anniversary of living in Nashville, Tennessee. And I wanted to share via YouTube because when I first relocated, the first thing I did was look for YouTube videos of other people who had relocated as well, and ones of people who looked like me as single moms, and I could not find anyone. So I wanted to share a little bit about our story and what brought us here, and kind of do it in a series. I do have a list of questions that all of my friends sent me over on Instagram. My Instagram is Krysclass, just like my name. So Krys class. And I kind of just will go through like top line items of what made us move to Nashville, Tennessee to begin with. So 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, so in 2020, I actually was working for a company where I was doing operations management and ended up losing my job during COVID, right before COVID. I received a severance package from my company and had some savings, so I had some cushion, and then everything kind of fell apart. So I wasn't working, I couldn't find a job. I was trying desperately to find a job in order to go back to work, but I couldn't find one that would have been a good fit for myself and my son. And I was looking and looking and looking, and finally I decided, I'm like, okay, I've been out of work now for, I think it had been 4 or 5 months at that point. I'm running out of money. There is coming to my 6-month cadence of not being able to continue to sustain this. And I think I'm probably gonna have to move back home with my parents. So very humbling, having to move in with my dad and my stepmom that graciously took us in. I called my stepmom one day taking a walk, and I was like, hey, here's the deal. I've been looking for a job and I'm about to have to renew my lease. Would it be possible for us to move in with you all just until I can get on my feet and kind of figure things out? So for age purposes, I want to say I was probably 34 at the time. Yes, because I've had my 36th birthday, 37th birthday here, and I turned 35 there. So I was 34 at the time. Super daunting experience, not what I expected to experience for my life, but at the same time, I was like, okay, this is a setback for me to be able to move to the next level. And sorry, I'm checking out my puppy, making sure he's doing something he's supposed to. So we end up moving in with my parents at the time. I'm looking for a job, I can't find anything. And it is definitely one of the most hard times of my life. I cannot even begin to explain how incredibly challenging it was for me, how difficult it was for me, and what that looked like in a sense of losing your independence and not having lived with your parents since I don't even know how long it had been, and being a single mom and having to be humbled by moving in with your parents and your child at the time. And school is closed down, so we're just trying to make all these adjustments, these life adjustments, and what this looks like for our new normal. And I started the job search. So I began searching for a job. I was looking for a job to go back to work. I worked in operations. I had marketing experience, and I wanted to probably stay in that realm. I have a ton of retail experience, and I did not want to go back to working in retail at all. I had no intentions of going back to working in retail. I did not want to do the schedule. I did not want to work on the weekends. And I was just over it, even though I have a long history of retail management. So with that being said, I looked for a job for about 6 months and still couldn't find anything. Christmas came and went. Also, a part of this story I think that's important to tell is that unemployment in Maryland at the time was backed up. So no one was receiving their unemployment payout. So I had received one payout from unemployment, and then I didn't have received the second part of being paid from unemployment. You still had to file every week, but you weren't being paid out because they were still waiting for your claims to be approved. This was awful, by the way. So I'm living with my parents and I have no money coming in. I am at the lowest of lows, and I'm like, there has to be a bright light somewhere coming. There has to be a lesson in this. There has to be something that's going to happen that's going to be, extraordinary for me to be experiencing so much struggle. And I'm trying to keep my faith, but I'm truly struggling at this time because things are just looking super dim. And finally, my dad and I had this conversation after the new year. He's like, listen, you need to go back to work. He's like, I know you're used to making X amount of money, but you need to get a job. He's like, I don't care what you're doing. It may not be what you have done in the past. He's like, but you need to go back to work and you need to figure something out. And I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, I'm trying really hard to go back to work. I'm doing everything that I can. I've helped numerous friends do their resumes, interview, job prep, be ready for the job world or the professional world, corporate world, whatever you want to call it. If anyone can get someone a job, it's me. I'm the queen of helping people get a job. I'm the queen of helping my friends be able to level up their experience. This comes so easy to me. I am struggling at this time to find the right fit for me. And all of a sudden we have this conversation and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back to working in retail. I'm pissed on the inside. I will be honest. I'm like, I don't want to work in retail. I had no intentions of wanting to go back to working in retail, but I knew in order to keep the peace, I was like, you're going to have to do what you have to do. So started applying for jobs. I applied with my company that I ended up relocating with, and I had 6 interviews in the month of January with various companies, and they kind of all started dwindling down. So through the interview process, the job that I truly wanted was actually like 2 or 3 minutes away from my grandparents' house. I see my grandparents twice a week. I go to their house, if not more. And I was like, oh, that's great. I'll go get this job. I'll be 2 minutes down the road. I can go check on my Nana on my lunch break, and this will be perfect for me. And that's the job that I wanted the most. That's the job that I did not get. I got my first rejection letter from them, and it was very daunting. If anyone is looking for a job, my heart goes out to you because it's such a hard experience, and it's very challenging to keep your faith during that time. So I'm interviewing with my current company, and I'm interviewing for a retail location that is in Maryland. I would have a bit of a commute. It would be about 45 minutes or so. And I'm like, cool, I'll go back to working in retail. I'll do this, I'll get the job, I'll work there for 6 months, and then I'll leave. I'll go find something else. And that was my plan. That was truly my plan. I was like, I'm gonna go back to working in retail. If God has it fit for me to go back to retail, I'm gonna do what my spirit is being led to do if that's what he wants. So I'm also interviewing for other companies at the time as well. And I go through the interview process with my current company. I make it to the 5th or 6th interview, and it's with my VP. And she says, Christina, you're overqualified. Would you be open to interviewing for the Nashville location? Would you be open to relocating? I kind of chuckle, and I'm like, if the price is right, the deal is real. So I'm incredibly blunt, very direct and to the point. I'm like, if the price is right, the deal is real. And she laughed. We shared a laugh. I got off the phone. I said to my son, I'm like, hey, they're asking if we would like to move to Nashville, if we would like to relocate to Nashville. Would you be open? At the time, he's 12, and he's like, oh yeah, I'd love a new adventure. So I said, cool, we'll go on this new adventure. And I began to look up the area, see if it was similar to Howard County, Maryland, which is where we moved from, and what the dynamic would be like, how far away I'd have to be from the store. Of course, as a single mom of a young boy about to be a teenager, I had to really garner all my options. And as I go through this series of sharing about my relocation, I'll definitely tell you all the checks and balances that I went through to make sure that we were going to be safe. Of course, that was incredibly important to me and what that looked like. So that evening when I received the next ping for the next interview with my company, it was for Nashville. They had changed all of my candidate information from the location in Maryland to now the location in Tennessee. And I was just thinking to myself, like, does God really want me to move to Tennessee? Like, I know no one here. I have no friends here. I've never been here. It's never been on my list to visit here. I didn't even think that I would enjoy living here. So I'm like, why would I ever want to move to Tennessee? And I told God, I prayed, I'm like, if this is what you want for me, we will do exactly what you want. I will go forth and, live out the mission of what it is that you have called me to do. However, if you don't, like, full stop, and I'm totally okay with that. And I said, if it is, then I'm gonna just free fall and jump directly into doing this. So I go through the next few interviews, and every time I would get a call from my potential boss that I made it to the next round of interviews. So by the time they called me to tell me on a Friday before my sister's birthday, they were like, we are going to extend the offer to you, and it's truly going to be to Nashville. Let's talk about your relocation package. And I'll talk about that as we kind of like open up the layers of what it looks like relocating. And I received a relocation package for moving, which was incredibly helpful, which covered the movers and then also being able to do the security deposit for the apartment community that we moved into and things of that nature, the flights to come here. I had a plan to, come here, and they had a freak snowstorm where it just randomly snowed so bad that everything kind of shut down. So my flights were canceled and I couldn't come here. I honestly now, like, even saying it out loud to you all, I'm like, that's probably for the best, because I may have came here and probably maybe freaked myself out or been like, what am I thinking? Like, am I really going to be able to relocate as a single mom? What does this look like? And maybe I would have backed out. So maybe that also happened for a reason. I don't know. I don't think the snowstorm was just for me, but I'm just saying. And so I thought to myself, okay, that's fine. I said, I'll just go. We'll just go. Once I received the relocation package, the offer letter was signed, the background check cleared. I said my move date will officially be March 5th and my start date will be March 8th. My favorite number is 8, and it's actually International Women's Day is March 8th. And so I was like, I'll start on International Women's Day, and I did. So this is me ripping off the Band-Aid. I've been saying for 2 years that I'm going to record a video to talk about relocation as a single mom and what that looks like, how the process is for me, and how I've navigated through this process. There's definitely been some highs and there's been some lows, and you have to kind of be prepared to receive it all. You have to be open to receive it all, and you have to be ready for it to be life-changing. I think as I come up on the 2-year anniversary, I can look back and say to myself, this is one of the things that I am so proud that I've done. I cannot believe I've done this. I don't know how God gave me the courage or the grace to just jump and go. This is my second time relocating. I will say my first time I relocated from Maryland to Florida. At the time, my boyfriend was already living in Florida, so I will say it's a very different experience when you are meeting someone on the other end. So you already have your significant other or a family member or somebody else there, and you can kind of navigate through your waters of change with that person. For me, coming here, I had absolutely nobody, and I think it's just an extraordinary experience, and it's very brave. And if you ever get the opportunity to do it, if it is on your heart, if you're watching this and you feel like, oh, this resonates with me, you should do it and you should try it. And I kind of gave myself this advice. I'm like, I'm gonna try it. If it works, great. If not, we can always go home. And with the parameters of my relocation package, I had to at least make it a year. So I had to be here a year so that I wouldn't have to pay back the relocation package or a portion of the relocation package. I know other people who have relocated for their jobs that have received different size lump sum packages, and some of them have to commit to 3 years. Some of them have to commit to a certain amount of time. For me personally, it was just 1 year. And I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud for just trying, and I hope that this video shares light on relocation, what that process looks like for me, how it has been for my family, for my son, the adjustments we've had to make. We also now have a puppy. He's like walking around here, so if you can hear that, he is 1 now. So we bought him home in November of 2021, and life has changed so much. We've traveled a lot to Maryland. I'll share a lot about that too, but I hope this can just be a segue to, if there's something that you want to try and you want to be brave to do, that you just try it. I encourage you to just try it. And that's the same thing I kind of wanted to do with this YouTube, is just try it, just share my story, and I hope it resonates with people. I hope it brings light to relocating as a single mom and lets you know how brave you are, how incredible you are, and what you're doing. Your kid sees that, and I know eventually at some point, not during the teenage years of course, but at some point it will make a difference for him, and I hope it inspires him to follow his dreams and to do whatever it is in life that he becomes passionate about as well. So this is now 16 minutes, and I just wanted to do like a quick little snippet to talk about my story. I'm gonna take the notes and the questions, and I'm gonna probably do that in the next video and talk about the questions that I've been asked, and also talk about the first year, and then talk about this second year of relocation. And then I'll go through and even tell you the things that I did to prep for relocation and what that looked like. And if I would do it again, would I do it again? I'll definitely share that throughout the process. So stay tuned. Thank you for tuning in to my first video. I hope you heard something encouraging, and I will see you on the next one.